Speakers.
Sorry to bother you, but
Sorry to bother you,
I'm wondering if either of you remember someone named James Pullman. He
James
worked
Pullman.
here at the
He worked
newspaper a few
here at
months
the
ago.
newspaper
That name
a
doesn't
few
sound
months
familiar.
ago.
What?
That name doesn't sound familiar. Why?
Someone from Colby
Someone
Media
from
called today.
Colby Media called today.
James applied for a job there, and he listed our
there.
newspaper agency as his last place of employment. They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked with him.
James Pullman?
James
I
Pullman?
remember James.
I remember that
He
James.
was one of our staff
He was
photographers
one
for
of
about a
our
year.
staff
He was very
photographers for about a year.
talented.
He was very
Well,
talented.
would you mind providing the
would you mind
recommendation then?
providing the recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be
Sure,
happy to.
I'd be happy to.
But I wish he had
But
contacted
I wish she had contacted
one of us directly. That's the usual procedure.
That's the usual procedure.
Number 59. Mission with 3 speakers.
Sorry to bother you, but
sorry
I'm
to bother
wondering if
you.
either of you.
Mission with 3 speakers.
Sorry
to bother you, but I'm wondering if either of you remember someone named James Pullman. He worked here.
If either of you recommend someone named James Pullman, he worked
at the newspaper
He worked here at the newspaper
a few months ago.
a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar. Why?
Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency
listed our newspaper
as his last place of
agency as
employment.
his last place of employment.
They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked with him.
Worked
James
with
Pullman?
him.
I remember
James Pullman. I remember James.
He was one of our staff
photographers
for about a year. He was very talented.
He was
Well,
very
would you-
talented. Well,
Mind providing the recommendation then?
The recommendation
Sure,
then?
I'd be happy
Sure,
to.
I'd be happy to.
But I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's the
directly. That's
usual
the
procedure.
usual procedure.
Number 59. 3 speakers.
Sorry to bother you, but I'm
Sorry to bother you.
wondering if either
But
of you
I'm
remember
wondering if either of you recommend someone named James Pullman.
He worked here at the
He worked here at
newspaper
the
a few months
newspaper a
ago.
few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Why?
Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper
agency
as his last place of employment.
employment.
They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked with him.
James
them.
Pullman?
James Pullman?
I remember James.
I remember James.
He was one of our staff photographers
for
about a year. He was very talented.
About a year, he was very
Well,
talented.
would you mind
Well,
providing the recommendation then?
The recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I'd be
But
happy to.
I wish he had contacted
I wish he had contacted
of us
one of us
directly.
directly.
That's the usual procedure. Number with 3 speakers.
Sorry to bother you,
Sorry to bother you.
but I'm wondering
But
if either
I'm wondering if
of you remember someone named James Pullman. He worked there. If you remember someone named James Pullman. Sorry to bother you,
Sorry to bother you.
but I'm wondering if either of you remember
if either of you recommend
someone named James Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment.
His last place of employment.
They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked with him.
with him. James Pullman? Pullman?
I remember
James.
He was one of our staff
photographers
for about a year.
He
was very talented.
He was very
Well,
talented.
would you mind
Well, would
providing
you
the
mind
recommendation
providing the
then?
recommendation
Sure,
then?
I'd be
Sure,
happy
I'd be
to.
happy to.
But I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's the usual procedure.
Procedure.
Number 59.
Sorry to bother you, but I'm wondering if either of you remember someone
recommend
named James
Remember someone named James Pullman?
He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar. Why?
Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment.
as his last place of employment.
They asked for a recommendation,
but
I never actually worked
with him. James Pullman.
I remember James. He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. He was very talented.
About a year. He was very talented.
Well, would you mind providing the recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's
direct.
the usual procedure.
That's the usual
Number 59.
procedure.
Where do the speakers conversation with 3 speakers?
Sorry to bother you, but I'm
sorry to bother you,
wondering if either of
but wondering if either
you remember someone named James
you remember
Pullman?
someone named
He worked here
James
at the
Pullman.
newspaper
He
a
worked
few
here
months
at the
ago.
newspaper a few
That
months
name
ago.
doesn't sound familiar. Why?
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of
employment.
They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked
with him. James Pullman.
I remember
James.
He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. He was very talented.
He was very
would you mind
talented.
providing the recommendation?
Well, would you mind providing the recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's the usual
procedure.
Number 59. Where do
bother you? But I'm wondering if either of you remember. Sorry to bother you. But I'm wondering if either.
But I'm wondering if
you remember someone named.
If either you recommend someone named James Pullman.
He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name
familiar.
Doesn't sound familiar. Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment. They asked for
employment. They asked for a recommendation, but
I never actually worked
with him.
Pullman?
James Pullman.
I remember James. He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. About a year. Very talented.
He was very talented. Well,
would you mind providing
the recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But I wish he had contacted one of us directly.
One of us directly.
That's the usual procedure.
That's the usual procedure.
Number 59. Where?
Sorry to bother you.
Sorry to bother you.
But I'm wondering if
either of you
remember someone named James Pullman. Bother you. But I'm wondering if either of you remembers.
If you remember
someone named James Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
James Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper a few months, but I'm wondering if either of you remember someone named James Pullman.
Conversation with 3 speakers.
Sorry to bother you.
But
I'm wondering if
either
of you remember
someone named James
Pullman.
James Pullman.
He worked here at the newspaper.
He was here.
Newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar. Why?
A few months ago. Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper. Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper a few Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
He worked here. He worked here. He worked here at the.
That name doesn't.
He worked here at the newspaper a
at the
few
newspaper a few months
ago.
Few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
That name doesn't sound familiar. That name doesn't sound familiar.
Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied. Someone from Colby Media called today.
Someone from Colby Media
today. James applied for a job there. Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job. There, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment. Listed our newspaper agency as his. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper.
And he listed the
agency as his.
Last
place of employment. They asked his last place of employment. They asked for our agency as his last place of employment.
As his last agency as his last place of employment.
They asked for a recommendation. But I never actually worked with him.
James Pullman? I remember
actually worked with him.
James Pullman.
But I never actually worked with him.
Pullman? I remember James Pullman.
James Pullman.
I remember James. He was one of our staff.
He was one of our
photographers for about a year. He was one of our staff photographers
He was one of our staff photographers.
About a year. He was very talented.
Well,
he was one of our staff.
He was one of our staff
photographers for about a year. He was very talented.
He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. He was.
Well, would you mind providing the
photographers for about a year? He was
for about a year.
Very talented.
He was very
talented.
He was very talented.
Well, would you mind providing? The recommendation then?
The recommendation? Well, would you mind providing the recommendation?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I'd be happy to.
But I wish he had contacted one of us.
But I wish she had contact
directly.
Contact one of us directly.
The usual procedure. Did one of us directly? That's the usual procedure.
That's the usual procedure.
Number 59.
Sorry to bother you, but I'm wondering if either of you remember someone named James Pullman. He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Why?
Someone from Colby Media
called today.
James applied for a job up there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment. Listed our newspaper agency for a job there, and he listed our newspaper.
And he listed down
per agency as his last place of employment. Up there, and he listed our newspaper agency.
And he listed down newspaper
as his last place.
Agency is in his last
of employment.
Last place of employment.
They asked for a recommendation.
They asked for a recommendation.
But I never actually
worked with him.
James Pullman?
I never actually worked with him.
I never actually worked with him.
James Pullman?
I
remember James.
Pullman? I've been.
He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. Remember James? He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. He was very
about 1 year.
talented.
Well, would you mind providing the recommendation then?
He was very talented.
He was very talented.
Well, would you mind providing the recommendation?
Well, would you mind providing
then?
the recommendation
Sure, I'd be
then?
happy to.
Sure, I'd be happy
But
to.
I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's the usual procedure.
That's the usual procedure.
Number 59.
Sorry to bother you,
but I'm wondering if either
you remember someone named James Pullman? He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar.
Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment. They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked with them.
James Pullman?
James Pullman?
I remember James. He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. He was very talented.
He was very talented.
Would you mind providing the recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's the usual procedure.
Number 59 with 3 speakers.
Sorry to bother you, but I'm wondering if either of you remember someone named James Pullman? He worked here at the newspaper a few months ago.
That name doesn't sound familiar. Why?
Someone from Colby Media called today. James applied for a job there, and he listed our newspaper agency as his last place of employment. They asked for a recommendation, but I never actually worked with him.
James Pullman? I remember James. He was one of our staff photographers for about a year. He was very talented.
Well, would you mind providing the recommendation then?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But I wish he had contacted one of us directly. That's the usual procedure.
Number 59. Where do the speakers work? Number 60. Why did Colby Media... Questions 62 through 64 refer to the following conversation and menu. Excuse me, are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
Oh, I'm ready to order. I'm eating alone. I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course. What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily special. Can you tell me what it is?
Today, it's a small cheese pizza and a beverage.
Oh, I think that's what I'll get. And by the way, since I'll be working on my laptop here, can I have the password for the restaurant's wireless internet?
Sure. It's on the back
of the menu.
Number 62. Following conversation and menu. Excuse me, are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
Oh, I'm ready to order. I'm eating alone. I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course. What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily special. Can you tell me what it is?
Today, it's a small cheese pizza and a beverage.
I think that's what I'll get. And by the way, since I'll be working on my laptop here, can I have the password for the restaurant's wireless internet?
Sure.
It's on the back
of the menu.
Number 60 and menu. Excuse me, are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
Oh, I'm ready to order. I'm eating alone. I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course.
What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily special. Can you tell me what it is?
Today, it's a small cheese pizza and a beverage.
Oh, I think that's what I'll get. And by the way, since I'll be working on my laptop here, can I have the password for the restaurant's wireless internet?
Sure. It's on the back of the menu.
Sure, it's on the back of the menu.
And menu. Excuse me, are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
Oh, I'm ready to order. I'm eating alone. I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course.
What
would you like?
I'm interested in the daily special. Can you tell me what it is?
Today, it's a small cheese pizza and a beverage.
Oh, I think that's what I'll get. And by the way, since I'll be working on my laptop...
Oh, I think that's what I get. Oh, I think that's what I get. Oh, I think that's what I get. Oh, I think that's what I get.
Here, can I have the password for the restaurant's wireless internet?
Sure.
It's on the back of the menu.
Menu.
Following conversation and menu.
Excuse me?
Excuse me, are you
Are
ready
you
to
ready
order
to order
lunch,
lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
I'm ready
to order.
I'm eating alone.
I'm eating alone.
I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon.
I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon,
And I need
and I need
somewhere quiet to work.
somewhere quiet to work.
Of course.
Of course. What would you like?
I'm
I'm
interested
interested
in the daily
daily
special.
special.
Can you tell me what it is?
Today it's
Today
a
is
small
cheese pizza and a beverage.
I think that's what I'll get.
That's what
And by the way,
I think that's what I get. And
Hey,
by the
since
way,
I'll be
since
working on my
I'll be
laptop
working
here,
on my
can I
laptop
have the
here, can I
password
have
for
the
the
password for the restaurant
internet?
wireless internet?
Sure, it's on the
Sure,
back
it's
of the
on the
menu.
back of the menu.
Excuse me,
Excuse me,
are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone
wait-
else to arrive?
Oh, I'm ready to order.
54. Refer to the following conversation and menu.
Excuse me,
are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
I'm ready to order.
I'm eating
I'm
alone.
eating alone. I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course.
Of course.
What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily
special.
special. Can you tell me what it is?
Can you
Today
tell me
it's a small
what it is?
Cheese pizza
Cheese
and a
pizza and
beverage.
a beverage.
I think that's what I'll get.
I think that's what I get.
By the way,
And by the way, since
I'll be working on my
laptop
here,
can I have the password for the restaurant wireless internet?
Sure, it's on the back
Sure,
of
it's
the
on the
menu.
back of the menu.
Excuse me, are you ready to order
Excuse me, are you ready to order
lunch, or are you waiting for
Are
someone else to
you waiting
arrive?
for someone else to arrive?
I'm ready to
order.
I'm eating
alone. I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course.
Of course. What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily special.
Can you tell me what it is?
Today it's
Today
a
is
small
cheese pizza and a beverage.
I think that's what
I get.
since
And by the way,
since
since
I'll
we're working on my laptop here, can I have the password for the restaurant wireless
Sure,
internet?
it's on the back of the menu.
It's on the
Number
back of the
62.
menus of the menu.
Why does the woman and menu? Excuse me,
Excuse
are
me,
you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting for someone else to arrive?
I'm ready to order.
I'm ready to order.
I'm eating alone.
I'm preparing for a meeting this afternoon, and I need somewhere quiet to work.
Of course.
Of course. What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily special.
Can you tell me what it is?
Today it's a
Today
small
it's a
cheese
small
pizza and a
cheese-
beverage.
Today is the small cheese pizza and a beverage.
Oh, I think that's what I'll get.
I think that's what
And by the
I
way,
get.
since I'll be working on my laptop,
I'll be working
Here,
on my
can I have
laptop
the
here.
password
Can
for the
I
restaurant?
have the password for the restaurant wireless
Sure,
internet?
it's on the back of the menu.
Sure, it's on the back of
Number
the
62.
menu.
Why does the woman menu? Excuse me,
Excuse me, are you ready to order lunch, or are you waiting
for
for someone else to
I'm
arrive?
ready to order. I'm eating alone.
I'm eating
preparing for a
alone. I'm
meeting this
preparing for
afternoon,
a-
and I need somewhere
I need
quiet to
somewhere
work.
quiet
Of
to
course.
work. Of course.
What would you like?
What would you like?
I'm interested in the daily
in the
special.
daily
Can you
special.
tell me
Can
what
you
it
tell me
is?
what it is?
Today it's
Today
a
is
small
a
cheese
small
pizza
cheese
and a
pizza
beverage.
and a beverage.
I think that's what I'll get.
That's what I get.
And by the way,
And by the
since
way,
I'll be
since
working on my
I'll be
laptop
working
here,
on my laptop
can I
here,
have the
can I have
password
the
for the
password for
restaurant's
the
wireless
restaurant
internet?
wireless internet?
Sure,